tatta dhim tatakita dhim tadim tattam. Non-duality is a very important principle of many philosophical traditions. And non-duality is considered to be something to aspire for, because it is said that when we can move beyond these divisions of liking something or disliking something, or whether something is right and wrong or good and evil, then we are also able to come into a space that is more compassionate, less judgmental, something that is much more harmonious and more uniting, rather than something where we judge not only other people but also ourselves. However, non-duality is not a space that could always be very comfortable. It is a space that comes with experiences of unease or being unsettled. For example, just consider in our everyday lives when we are confronted with two propositions and we have to decide which side we are on. If we find ourselves unable to make that decision, and if we find ourselves in that in-between space, it's a very difficult space to be in, because really in our times we are very much about, are you for something or are you against something? And in order to say, well, I am not sure and I'm just happy to be in the space of inquiry, or I'm happy to be in a space where perhaps I agree with some things here and some things there, and I disagree with some things here and disagree with some things there. That is not an easy space, and it's not a space that is available to us, because we are really dominated by our mind, our mental lenses, which are always about duality. So when we come into the space of unease or being unsettled, they are not benign spaces. They make us feel really uncomfortable, and sometimes they can even make us move into things like mockery or contempt, because we feel like we must sign up to something, and we then get contemptuous or mocking about things that are on the other side. And mockery and contempt and a sense of disgust, again, these are not very benign sensations. They can actually lead to brutality and to violence and other kinds of actions. So the ancient archetypal traditions were very cognizant of the fact that non-duality, the spaces of multidimensionality, is inevitably coming with this experience of unease. And that is why many of them had these creative, artistic, or aesthetic, ceremonial and ritual ways of experiencing and inquiring into these spaces. Why is multidimensionality or non-duality important? Because reality itself, or the consciousness that is reality, is multidimensional. It is not dual. There are many things which are polarities which coexist in the same moment and in the same space. So being able to attend, to have an attention and an intelligence that mirrors this multidimensionality is very important for us if we want to be in that union or in that state of fullness of our consciousness. And so these traditions provided us with these archetypal stories or narratives of deities through which we could explore this multidimensionality. And because they were enjoyable, they were creative, they were celebratory, they were beautiful rituals, they allowed us to be in these spaces of unease, in these unsettled spaces, in a really celebratory way, in a really creative way. And it took away that sense of not being safe in these spaces. And that way we could actually find out what is the intelligence of non-duality. What does it offer to us as the truth about reality? So this is the way in which these creative traditions, these stories, narratives, and dances about these archetypes allow us to be in unease and being in that space of discomfort without going into experience or responses like mockery, contempt, and other ways that could potentially lead to brutal behaviors and outcomes.